Hello there, and welcome back. My name is Paul, aka Modus, and I just moved. Well, to be fair, I didn't move as in get up new house, but rather I moved my entire studio room. Those of you who have watched my previous videos here will know that for the past few years my music studio was located in the attic of where I currently live, but recently I left the attic and brought the whole thing downstairs to my bedroom. But why? There are two main reasons why I left the attic, and these are: this might be the most obvious reason why any artist would want to switch to another room: reflections. Now, this attic is about 36 meters squared, or roughly 387 square feet, which is a very big surface to properly treat acoustically, especially if the walls are stippled and the floor is made of marble, turning this into pretty much the worst place in my house for speakers. So my family and I figured out that trying to fix this room would be prohibitively expensive at best, and we would have to look for another solution, and we ended up going for another room altogether. Due to the way the house is designed, the attic is almost always either the hottest or the coldest part of the entire structure, depending on what season of the year you're in. If you've watched any of my Twitch live streams this summer, you might have heard me mention once or twice that the room temperature and humidity was very difficult to withstand because I would constantly be sweating through my t-shirt, dripping sweat, which is not fun, and just trying to wave my clothes to circulate some air because it was just that hot. On the other hand, however, when it's winter, as you saw last year for example, it was so cold, I had to wear a scarf on some streams. Like I was, streaming from Santa Claus's place, but it still didn't snow. So, with all that, my family and I spent roughly 2 weeks getting everything done, from taking all the old furniture from my bedroom out, to taping the whole thing, doing a complete new paint job, buying the wood for the desk and the new furniture, and actually doing the edging ourselves, building an iron structure to support the desk and making holes for the legs, drilling holes in the walls for the new shelves, and finally installing a brand new black carpet. So 100% DIY, no IKEA, no pre-built furniture. We did this the hard way, and oh boy, it showed, because after spending a few hours routing all the cables through on the last day, the new setup was up and running, at least partially. And that's when I realized I had made a really good choice. There's literally 3 times more bass response here with the same equipment than in the attic, which is a huge improvement, especially for someone like me who frequently, no pun intended, works with very low bass frequencies, aka sub-basses for my electronic music, drone pads, rheezes, growls and whatnot, so this was already a big step in the right direction. But something else was missing. I had done this because I was looking for a better environment for speakers, but I'm still using the same cheapo Logitechs I've had for years now, so it was time for an upgrade. Alright guys, this is it. Past this door, you're gonna find the real deal, the complete new studio, full refurbished. One thing though, don't mind the cable management. Alright? Good? Let's go. Here it is. Whole thing. Definitely more cozy than the attic, dare I say. So yeah, lots of stuff here. This is the main studio corner where I have some games over there. Some of my stuff, and then of course the bed where I sleep. Let's walk you through some of the things that make this whole thing function properly without blowing up. So before we even thought about moving any of this down to the attic or doing the paint job or installing all the new furniture, we had to address one small little problem: internet. Now we're in my bedroom, which is one of the furthest away rooms from the living room, which is where the router is. So here I'm getting very unacceptable speeds, not even for streaming. So here we figured that using straight up Wi-Fi would not be viable here because we wouldn't get the speeds that I wanted. So we had to figure something out. We ended up going for one of these pass-through power line starter kit. This is basically a PLC adapter, which means one of them is right next to the router, and the other one is right over there. I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. So what this means is that it goes from the router way over there. It uses the house's electrical wiring to get the internet through cable, through Ethernet, all over to this plug, and then there's an Ethernet jet that comes out of that, and that plugs straight into my computer. So here you can see that we're getting much more acceptable speeds. For streaming we need like 2.5 or 3 megabits, and we're getting almost 50, and it should be even more on the upload, which for whatever reason is always higher than the download. There you go, 55, almost 60. So that's about the max I'll get in this bedroom, but that is more than acceptable for everything that I want to do. So, problem solved. Alright, so I've turned on flash so you can see a tiny bit more of what I'm doing. We figured the issue of the internet we have to figure out because this PLC adapter has a bypass socket in which we can plug all of our existing things, which is not small. There are a grand total of 3 power strips here. There's 1 and 2, and the third one is right over there. So they're all daisy chained to one another. But yeah, just how do you power all of this? Well, so the main outlet comes from there. It goes into the first power strip, which is where some of my most important stuff is. So like the PC itself, one of the speakers, and well, the LED strip here, and my monitors and my PC. And then there's a white outlet that goes onto the second power strip, which is where I plug some of the less important stuff, like for example my consoles, my Switch, you know, my other monitor, and my webcam, for example, is also in the second power strip, and also my Wii. And here the third power strip, it is what I use to power this retro gaming corner, which yeah, you might have seen in the past that yes, I own a Sega Saturn. It's not exactly new, but it's still working absolutely perfectly if it wasn't for the third-party PSU add-on thing that we had to get for it, which is actually soldered directly onto the main board, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, it's just a series of daisy chaining power strips into one another and just routing all of these cables up here into this end where they meet, and here it goes up and they distribute onto the monitors, all the consoles, this, the audio interface, and the speakers as well. Now, if you think this is messy, hold on to it, because the PC actually used to be here in the first few days of this build. But I realized if the PC was here, the ends here would split both ways, so like they would go there and also there, right? Because this is where the power is, and that is where the computer was. So they would split both ways, and it used to be even more messy, so I had to make a compromise and just move my PC there so I could squish all of the cables in there. And if you think this is some terrible place to put a PC for airflow, worry not. The only real exhaust is right there, so the hot air comes through my feet. So you could also say this is a free radiator. So yeah, I thought of all of that in advance for the computer, and also to make sure I was powering all of these things without having it blow up. So now let's move on to the more music side of things. How do I get the audio signal from the new Yamaha speakers and into my headphones, and how do I get the mic working? Well, it's all done through a single audio interface. This is my Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 that I've had for a couple years now. The audio comes out of this PC via USB, and it's routed all the way up there into the main USB plug here, which I'll focus on if the phone can focus. There you go. So that's the USB plug, and this is the jack outputs. These are brand new Roland XLR to jack for the speakers. So they come up there, and they are routed all the way through the back. Phone, please focus. Thank you. They go all the way through the back and onto the speakers, which if I show it to you on this one, on the back, you will see that, yeah, this is where it's plugged in. This is the volume knob. So with this knob, you control the monitor of speakers and this is where you control the auxiliary signal, which is where the headphones are plugged into. And these are routed all the way through the back, so the cable does not get in my way, you know, in my workspace. And they go all the way to my Sennheisers. I've had this since Christmas last year, and they've been an awesome pair of headphones so far, the best yet. And finally, the mic, which has seen a few upgrades. It now has a pop filter and a proper mic arm. So what I did is I wrapped the XLR all the way through the arm, and it goes down there, and it meets at the end up there. And it comes out of here and it plugs straight into the interface. So that's how I get all of my audio setup done. And now it's time for the video side of things. How do I get a signal for my PC on both monitors, but also get signal from all 4 of my consoles without having to change too many things here? Well, I have a pretty sophisticated system here. So, well, here there's only one VGA, which is for the PC. The other monitor has an HDMI out, or in, rather. And this goes all the way through the back, and it meets right here. This is the HDMI card that I bought. Video capture with loop. Yeah, it's some cheapo card from Amazon, but it works. So this is where the monitor goes. So it goes from there into the monitor, and this is where I plug either the switch or this SCART to HDMI box for all of the retro stuff. So like if I want to plug my Sega Saturn, for example, the output will come through this cord into the SCART, into this switch box. So say I want to use the Saturn, I'll just turn that on, and the signal will go through here and get switched to HDMI. From HDMI, it will go all the way through the back, once again, to the card, to this HDMI cord, which I can just change in there. So I can just take off the one from the switch and put this one in instead. And I both get a signal on this monitor with no latency at all, but I also get the video signal for the capture card through USB. I can just put it in here, and OBS will recognize it and show it up. And if you were wondering which console was which in this mess, well, this is the Sega Saturn, this is the PS2 right here, and this, in gray, is the Wii, of course. And since the Switch uses native HDMI, there's no need for one of these boxes, so I can just use the native core right there. There is one thing, though, that I haven't showed about this whole build, and that's the piano over here. So yes, we used to have a piano in the attic. It used to be to my left, and now it still is to my left, just a little bit farther. So if I need to open it up, I can just pull it like that, and it has power cord, which is right over there. And here I got the MIDI USB cord somewhere. It must be one of those drawers. So when I need to get a signal, a MIDI signal from this to the PC, I can just route it through the back, which is where the plug is, and I can just run the cord all over to the PC, which is only temporary, so I don't mind if it goes all the way through the floor. Finally, let's talk room acoustics, because no pair of 600 euro speakers is good without having a good room in the first place. So what will happen here is, since the bass goes always in the room, I made sure that the room was not square or rectangular, so there's a little bit of a dents here, so the room is actually non-regular, definitely not a square and not a rectangle, so that's perfect. I'm gonna have this window open, I can just open it, and the bass exhaust will just have free air to move out of there, so I get no resonances. But what happens with this one? Well, this one is all the way tucked away in there, so there's actually no way for me to leave any more space for the bass exhaust here, so I'm gonna have to get some bass traps for this, which I haven't done yet, but that'll be later on. For now, what I have is the mids and highs will come out facing my way, so they come out like this, so like, and they go to the back, and where they should be reflected, I've installed a bunch of mid-high absorbers, which I was already using in the attic, so it was no problem at all for me to unstick those from the wall in the attic and bring them down here. But also, a huge part of this room's acoustics is my bed. This is a huge absorber, as well as that. So that should take enough care of the mid-high absorption. But yeah, we've gone through some of the main things that makes this studio work. The power, the internet, the sound itself, how everything is plugged in, and just, well, that was my studio tour. Guys, once again, thank you all so much for watching this studio tour. This could not have happened without your help and your support. For example, sales on my Supernova sample pack, my Twitch revenue. Without all of that, it would have been absolutely impossible to get the new table, the new speakers, anything done for this. So once again, thank you all so much. You made this happen, and let's continue to make the magic of music happen right here, right now. I've been Paul, aka Modus. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you around.